Hello. So I feel like I should be a matcha guy today with a quarter zip on, but it's coffee all day. So today we're going to talk about Wayne, Pennsylvania. Wayne is one of my favorite towns in the Philly suburbs for a number of reasons, but the walkability, the restaurants, the quality of lifestyle, the amenities you get, the ease of commute, all of these things are just a few of the reasons why when I always envision a beautiful suburban town, Wayne is truly the picture that I see in my head. Beyond Wayne, just in terms of its own beauty, its own amenities, its own housing market, it will also serve as a bit of a case study for us. Most people, when they think about Wayne, they think, look, it's in Radnor Township in Delaware County, but it's actually on the border of 3 different townships in 3 different counties. So you have Radnor in Delco, you also have Tredyffrin in Chester County, and you have Upper Marion in Montgomery County. So dealing with the interplay of these 3 different townships in these 3 different counties, we'll be able to use Wayne to show how different submarkets behave, even though they're technically all a part of the same town. So if you're looking at national data, that's certainly not discrete enough. If you're looking at statewide data, you're still not there yet. And it turns out, even if you're looking at county or town or township or borough data, you're probably not looking in enough detail to make informed choices, whether you're buying or selling. So Wayne will let us describe how these differences can manifest, which is very exciting, but Wayne in general. So when I think Wayne in general, I do think Radnor in Delco, fantastic schools, really, really good commuting access, both to highways and to that Paoli Thorndale line to easily get into Philly, maybe to get into Philly and then go to New York or down to DC. It's also a hub for relocators, and that's not just from downtown Philly moving out to the suburbs. People are moving into Wayne from other suburbs who want to be able to say, I'm on the main line now, how exciting. If they want that downtown feel, that's why beyond just people moving up into Wayne, you also have some people looking for a more modest home, but they want the walkability of a town. So you're still going to have people who maybe you're competing with high equity people in that case, moving into Wayne. And then it's also a hub for relocators from a greater distance. People are moving up from DC into the area, down from New York into the area. So you have a lot of people right now moving down from New York into Bucks County, but it's starting to bleed down into the main line, and Wayne is one of those towns where you're seeing some influx of New York residents. So in a second, I'm going to run through everything that we will talk about today, but before I do that, please like, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things. All right, let's rip. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Wayne as a market, why it is a strong market, what is driving up prices, what is driving down inventory. We'll talk about the specific pricing trends that we see in Wayne. I'm going to focus on the last 6 months because I think they're illustrative of where we might go in the next 6 months. We'll also talk about days on market, inventory. Then we'll dive into some of the factors influencing pricing, days on market, inventory, these nitty-gritty trends. We'll talk about some of the fun stuff like schools, how different submarkets behave, walkability, transit, the lifestyle that Wayne affords. And then we'll talk about the typical buyer that we see. And this is helpful because if you're looking to buy in the Wayne area or somewhere else on the main line, you want to know who you're competing against. If you're selling your home, you want to know who is the typical person that's going to be walking in and potentially making an offer on your home. And then, as always, we'll talk about what does this mean for buyers in the Wayne area? What does this mean for sellers in the Wayne area? And then after I have talked at your face for about 20 minutes, we'll wrap up and I'll leave you with my general conclusion on the state of the Wayne real estate market. So let's talk at a high level about why Wayne remains one of the strongest mainline markets and one of the strongest markets really in all of Pennsylvania, which is crazy. So you have a few things. You have a walkable downtown right on Lancaster Avenue. You have great restaurants. Go to Blue Elephant. It is so good. use SEPTA access through that Paoli-Thorndale line. It is right next to downtown, very easy to get to, very easy to commute into Philly on that line. You have Radnor Township, which is highly sought after for a few reasons. The first being home values have maintained their strength for decades now. You have great schools, both public and private. I was a big lacrosse guy growing up. If you're interested in lacrosse, some of the best lacrosse in the country is in this area. Just saying, check it out. It's a really fun sport. And then you have strong retail, dining, and community infrastructure. So all of these things, combined with a few other things that we'll touch on a little bit later in the video, are what make Wayne such a strong and thriving real estate market. And this goes for not only if you are a buyer or seller there, but if you're looking to invest, this is an interesting place to invest in. So let's talk, and I apologize, I'm going to look down because I want to get these stats right for you guys, but let's talk about some specific pricing trends in Wayne over the past 6 months and what we've seen for the past really probably decade. So Wayne pricing typically is sitting right at the top of mainline home value, particularly when you get within walking distance of downtown or you are in one of those preferred school zones. So I did some research just to give you guys a sense of what we are seeing. So in the last 6 months, 125 houses listed, 121 have been sold. The median list price was just shy of $1 million, 998 if we're being specific. The average sold price was $1.1 million, which gets to a point where if you've seen any of my other videos, you know this is maybe my biggest tip when selling a home in the Philadelphia suburbs. Price low, get momentum going, and the market will drive that price up. So people are pricing south of $1 million and they're selling for over $100,000 more than what they're listing at on average. So going on, average cumulative days on market is 27. So we're still pretty quick. We're north of 3 weeks, but these are skewed a little bit. You're always going to have an outlier where maybe someone just priced it astronomically. They're not really potentially looking to sell, but if they can get some insane deal, why not? And so you'll have a house that's been sitting there for a year on the market, and that's going to skew that a bit. This is really probably closer to that 3 week mark in terms of what we're actually seeing. It's still pretty quick in Wayne. So months of inventory over the last 6 months has averaged out to 1.4 months. So we're still solidly in that seller's market. Again, 0 to 3 month seller's market, 3 to 5 balance market, north of 5. Then we're getting into a buyer's market. So sellers still have power here, which is confirmed by if we do a little math with the numbers that we just went through and calculate sale to list price ratio, which I like using personally for understanding who has negotiation power, who has the leverage. So if we do that, it's 1.1. So as you approach 1 and then get past 1, that's indicating sellers have negotiating power, which obviously is confirmed by the months of inventory stat, that 1.4 we just went through. So sellers are in charge in Wayne. And when we take a step back, even with just what we've gone through so far, that makes sense. It's a highly desirable market. Buyers are going to fight there. Some people have wanted to live in Wayne their whole life. People are relocating. You have people getting their forever homes there. You have people downsizing there. So you're dealing with a lot of equity, a lot of competition. People are going to fight to get into Wayne. So why are we seeing these numbers? Where do they come from? So strong premiums for renovated, move-in ready homes. A lot of people are getting their homes ready in a very significant way in Wayne because they know that if they can get that market rolling on their house, they'll get an even higher premium on that sale price. You also have a wide range of housing stock here, which keeps inventory low. People want to be near that downtown. They want to say they're on the main line, but not everyone obviously can afford a $1.2 million house, which is not that far off the median here. That's an extremely expensive house. So what do people do if they're looking in that more typical but still elevated compared to the Philly metro median, which is still just south of 400,000. So let's say you're looking at a $600,000, $700,000 house, a beautiful, fantastic home. You think, Eric, you just told me that the median is at essentially $1 million. They're selling for 100,000 more than that. How am I going to have access to Wayne? Wayne is a diverse market. If you look, especially if you're looking more towards Southern Wayne, you're going to see houses that are much more affordable, and you can get into those houses for sure with the right planning, hopefully the right agent. We can do that. So you get a higher price per square foot compared to non-mainline suburbs. Partially that's just the mainline premium, but Wayne in particular, you have an extremely vibrant downtown. Other mainline homes have vibrant downtowns. When you think about Suburban Square in Ardmore, I love the Bryn Mawr area, Haverford area with the colleges around there too. A couple of my best friends who I'm very excited to see this weekend went to Haverford. So I love those areas, but Wayne is unique in terms of what its downtown offers, and that's going to drive up that price per square foot. And then you're seeing price stability even when transaction volumes slow in Wayne because it is such a desirable place to be. So I just talked about this a bit. Wayne is a low inventory market. That days on market is not really going to get much higher than it's been in the last 6 months. And let's think about what's happening in the next 6 months. The next 6 months, it's going to be the spring rush. Everyone's figuring out, okay, now's the time I want to sell my home. Now's the time I want to buy. You're going to see, I believe, that days on market come down a bit. Maybe we do another video in 6 months, just a quick one to see where we're at. But I bet that comes down a bit. So typical patterns I see in terms of buying and selling in Wayne before we dive into some other features of Wayne. So renovated homes sell quickly, often within that first 2-week window. Homes priced correctly sell very quickly here, and they generate a lot of interest. So you're thinking maybe, look, I don't want to take a price hit or a profit hit by just selling my home quickly. By pricing correctly, you're actually going to generate a ton of people coming through your home, a ton of offers, which is going to ultimately drive that price up. I mean, think about it. A lot of people are going to have escalation clauses. You can hit them with, I just want to see your final and best, which will make people on the margin say, look, we've wanted this for years. Just give them the highest thing we can do right now. So that competition is actually going to drive the price up. We actually typically see higher prices, higher walkability, transit, and lifestyle amenities. So you have a ton of dining and shopping on Lancaster Avenue. Like I said earlier, Blue Elephant might be my favorite restaurant in the Philly suburbs. It's so good. Please go there if you've not been there. Radnor Trail for walking, biking. They have full playgrounds there. It's a great time. Easy access to Suburban Square and neighboring mainline towns. Bryn Mawr, Ardmore, Haverford, mainline adjacent. Paoli, I mean, we're right between really Paoli and Phoenixville. It takes us 15 minutes to get to Wayne. We love going there. It's fantastic. And then you have super easy SEPTA access to get downtown in a hurry. Very, very convenient in the morning and the evenings. Obviously, if you know the SEPTA schedule, it's going to be a little more sporadic in the middle of the day and later in the day. But during peak commute times, if you want to avoid that 76 mess, if you want to avoid having to get on 202 and really looping it, the SEPTA makes this awesome. So buyer profiles. Who is showing up to buy homes in Wayne? So the first bucket is mainline move-up buyers, essentially. So you have people in other pockets of the Philly suburbs. Maybe you're down in southern Chester County, maybe you're up in Bucks, maybe you are in the Conchie Bala area and you're trying to really escape the city. People are going to be looking at the main line. The main line is the hottest market in the Philly suburbs, and Wayne is one of the hottest submarkets they're in. So all of those people trying to get to the main line, Wayne is going to be one of their biggest targets. So you're competing with all of them. In addition to that, you're going to have relocators from the 3 major metro centers around us. I do not count Baltimore as a major metro center. I'm sorry, Baltimore. But obviously, you're going to have people who live in downtown Philly who are trying to move out. You're going to have people moving up from DC, like my wife and I did a few years ago. You're going to have people moving down from New York, like one of my good friends did a couple of years ago. All of these people are going to be looking at the Wayne area. They're going to be wanting access to amenities like they had in the city that they lived in, but they also want the suburban feel. What provides that? Wayne. In addition to that, you're also going to have downsizers, and this is not initially as straightforward as you would think. But what do downsizers look for? They want access to the amenities, but they don't necessarily want to be either in a city or driving to get to those amenities. You want a walkable downtown, you want sidewalks, and you want lifestyle bonuses. Wayne offers all 3 of these things. So now stepping back, what does this mean for buyers and what does this mean for sellers? As a buyer, first things first, you need to be prepared for limited inventory. When homes come on the market, they don't stay there very long. They get snapped up by all of these buckets of different buyers. You need to act decisively on well-priced homes in the specific location you are looking. You need to understand micro-location differences. This should be changing the format and contents of your offers. You need to be changing these so you set yourself up in the most advantageous way depending on the specific home you're making an offer on. And if you're looking at recently renovated properties, especially those in close proximity to downtown Wayne, that's where you're gonna see your highest competition. So just knowing that before you get into it, preparing that you're not gonna necessarily win that first or second offer you put in, and being in it for the long haul if this is where you really want to be. So for sellers, what does this mean? You need to be looking at very close, very recent comparables when setting your price. Like I've said in other videos, and like I'm sure I will say in pretty much every video I make, price is the most important thing you will do. It is better to be low than it is to be high because the market takes care of low prices. It punishes high prices. So prepare your home thoroughly before listing. These are high equity, often second or third time home buyers. They know what they want. A lot of people are looking for their forever home or they're looking for their final home. They know what they want. So maximizing your home's visual appeal is going to be key in Wayne. Emphasize in how you're marketing and how you're listing your home, the walkability, the schools, the transit access, everything that makes Wayne special. And you might be thinking, if they're trying to live in Wayne, they already know this. You need to think about who may not know this. Not everyone who lives in downtown Philly grew up in the Philly area. A lot of people come to Philly from all over because it's a great city. Now that they're there, maybe they're tied to a job here. They don't necessarily know everything about the suburbs. You can make your listing stand out by making it easy for them. And this goes double for people who are maybe coming up from DC, coming down from New York. You can set your listing apart by providing them with all of the information that you might think is common sense, but isn't for them. And the final point, which I've said I think 3 times already, avoid aspirational pricing. This market will make your ultimate sales price your aspirational price if you price correctly from the outset. You need to get momentum building in that first week or two. So then you have a bunch of people coming through and looking at your home. You'll get a lot of offers, which increases competition, which ultimately increases price. Aspirational pricing maybe you get away with it. But if you don't, and you only have 1 or 2 people coming in, maybe they're lowballing you, then you have to reduce the price. And now everyone, think about the mentality, is thinking either there's something wrong with this home, or they're just gonna keep coming down with that price and I'll be able to get this at a deal in like 5 months. So the final takeaways here. Wayne continues to stand out across the Philly suburbs and even stands out in the main line. It is a resilient and durable housing market. You have great schools, you have unbelievable amenities, great restaurants, very easy commuting access, whether that's highway or SEPTA, and you have an absolute hub for relocators, whether that's from other suburbs, from Philly, or from other major metro areas up and down the East Coast. For buyers and sellers alike, understanding the buyer profile, the stats about days on market, median list price, median sales price, who has the negotiation power in Wayne. All of this information is key, whether you're creating an offer for your dream home in Wayne or you're selling your home and you want to maximize your profit. Understanding all of the nuances of not only Wayne, but your submarket in Wayne is the key to having success in your real estate journey. I hope this was informational. I can't wait to keep giving you guys information on the Philly suburbs generally. I'm going to continue to walk through different towns, both along the main line, in Chester County, Bucks County, over the Delaware into New Jersey. I'll see you guys next time.